Welcome to the Leadership Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Jonno White. I'm the founder and principal consultant of Clarity. We are an Australian-based consultancy that works with leaders around the world, and our passion is to invest in people to become everything they're meant to be in order to fill the world with healthy organizations that people love to work for and customers line up to buy from. The goal of this podcast is to invest in you and your leadership. If you're just joining us for the first time, then feel free to check out consultclarity.org. That's our website, consultclarity.org. We have so many free resources on there, the most popular being our 7 Questions on Leadership series. We've had more than 1,500 leaders from around the world in all different sectors give their in-depth answers on leadership, what books they love, what they found most challenging, the most meaningful stories, how they structure their time through the day. That's free, so go and check it out. And we'd love to interview you about your leadership. I believe you have advice from your experience, your context, and your life so far that is important and can help other leaders. It's also a great way to give back. It's free to get involved, and you can do so by going to consultclarity.org/7-questions-interest, or just Google consultclarity.org 7 questions interest and fill out the form that pops up. We have a free resource for you on our website. It's called Leadership Survival Guide. It's a 57-page ebook. It has interviews with 10 world-class leaders, and you can go to consultclarity.org. It's right at the top, and get that today. We also have a daily email that we send out to over 15,000 leaders, and that email contains the highlights, our best content from our podcasts, our blog, my book, the books that we're loving that are out there about leadership. It's also the best way to get access to our masterclasses and workshops before anyone else. And there's also exclusive and limited special options just for subscribers. And you can subscribe by going to consultclarity.org/subscribe. Now, my gift to you is to work incredibly hard to provide the best leadership content I can to invest in you and your leadership. So if you're finding our content helpful, if you find this podcast helpful, then your gift to me could be this. If you do find it helpful, then write a review or rate our content and make sure you subscribe or follow. I can't emphasize enough how helpful that is. It really does help us to get the word out there so we can invest in more leaders to become everything they're meant to be. It also means a lot to me personally when people like you and people in our community share our content on social media. So if you do that, then please do look for me, Jonno White, to tag me, and look to tag Clarity on whatever platform you're on. And our team, including me, I'm always looking to see when people have mentioned us so that I can engage with you. And also we look at sharing content. So if you write something about something we've done, there's also a good chance we'll share that with our followers. So if you could do that, that is a massive, massive help as we try to invest in as many leaders as we can around the world. Last of all, you can check out my book about how to deal with difficult people even if you hate conflict. It's called Step Up or Step Out. It's available on Amazon. You can just look up Step Up or Step Out Jonno White, or you can go to store.consultclarity.org/book and check it out there. I have coached leader after leader after leader, and in more than 50% of the sessions, this topic comes up. How do I deal with this person? I'm finding it really difficult, and I just want to find a way that doesn't blow up, to just to have a difficult conversation, to lead them better. How do I do that? There's a 3-step process that I outline in this book that I believe can help you. Okay, let's get into today's episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast. Enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast. Today's guest is Adam Khoda. Adam is president of the Elite Fashion Group. Welcome to the...
Thank you very much for having me on. Pleasure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our chat. First of all, tell us a bit about what you do, a bit about the Elite Fashion Group, and what do you do as president?
Well, as they say, we're a bit of a jack of all trades in the fashion industry. Started the elite fashion group around 2008, 2009, 2010, depending how you look at it, when you consider really started. But it started kind of out of necessity. I used to be, and still am, used to be production manager for some of the biggest manufacturing houses, and I used to travel to Asia and come back. And after many tours overseas, I kind of came back and I said, we need to bring it back to America. Things are going to get a bit more crazy overseas. I didn't predict COVID or anything, but my background being an immigrant, being in America, seeing the opportunities, and we started this private manufacturing company, which is basically manufacture clothing for any designer or anyone in the country that wants to have their own clothing brand, realizing that we have a lot of resources, and if somebody wants to start a clothing brand or get into the clothing world, they shouldn't have to have millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars or go to school or anything for it. It's not as complicated. So we started a company to bring back production to America, and I could have never imagined what it's become. We went from making clothing to basically we could make almost any clothing that's in your closet except socks or gloves. We have a full-blown shoe department that develops shoes and manufactures shoes. So now we're working with a lot of big companies that we can't mention because we have NDAs on them, but it is unbelievable. And my secret has been is just we make a joke. We call ourselves the bastards of downtown LA because we all used to work in downtown LA. Working with other companies or working in the same company or actually competing against each other. And, Rosie and I got together and, 2 became 4, 4 became 5. And now I am honestly blessed to say I come to work and I get to hang out with my friends and work. I don't feel like I'm working sometimes. So
yeah,
we basically, long term, we make clothing and shoes for everybody else, and we make people's dreams come true. In essence, is what we try to do.
Love it. No, it's such a great company. So let's jump into your story. Tell us a bit about, start with your childhood, Adam, growing up. What were some of the moments in your life that really shaped you into the person that you are today?
That's a relatively easy question to say. I grew up in Iran, like in the city of Iran, in the 80s during the Iraq, Iran war. I'm 43 years old. So when that war started, I was in my, 7, 8 years old or so, whatever it was. And during the wonderful war with Iran and Iraq, Mr. Saddam Hussein decided to drop a bomb on our house at 2:00 in the morning. We were the first people to get hit. So at the age of 10 and a half years old, 11 years old, at 2:00 in the morning, we got bombed. And when that happened, we went from one house to another, from here to there, for about 2 years, kind of bouncing all around, leaving the city, you go to sleep, the alarms would come out, you run downstairs and go in the basement, which, now as an adult, I don't know what the heck that would do. And because the bombings got so severe and it got so crazy, my mom's family, who are all in America, and before the revolution in Iran, my mom's family used to work with the U.S. Embassy. So they all escaped. But my mom didn't because she just got married and she just was pregnant with us. So long story short, we basically escaped Iran through the desert. We were in the desert for about 2 months. Me, my 6-year-old brother, I was 11, and my mother. We were in the desert for 3-4 days without water, literally. And we go from town to town, and finally got to Pakistan. From Pakistan to Austria. I lived in Austria for a year and spoke fluent German at one point, and then came to America in '89. And I know we have our problems in this country and all the craziness going on, but I got to tell you, coming where I'm coming from, this is the greatest country that I could ever imagine. That someone like me could come up with an idea to start a clothing company in his living room and sit on the phone with you now bragging about it. Honestly, it's I can't tell you what an opportunity has been in this country, how amazing it is. The people that I work with, I can't talk about enough about how amazing they are. Without the people in our company, it wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
There'll be no of these factors.
Incredible. What I mean, I can't even imagine the young person. What lessons do you think, going through that experience, what do you see in how you lead, how you build your business, how you live your life, that for you think back and you think, yeah, I think that's something about me that really is true, because that's, things that, how you lead, how you build your business, how you live your life.
What really helps, having that perspective, coming from, your neighbors. My neighbor was about to get married 6 days before we got bombed, and she perished. She's gone randomly. And what ends up, what you look at, instead of looking at the negative stuff in the world, what I've done, and I'm always had like a spiritual awakening the last year and a half during COVID. I'm sure everybody else has as well, many people in the world. And this is going to sound really silly, and I'm not I'm not a silly boy. This is going to sound silly. And if an Adam of 2 years ago hears this, he would be like, who are you? But I've realized simply the meaning of life is to spread love. That's it. So in the last year, as soon as a year and a half, realized that. And what I mean by that is, when I come to work, my goal as a president or the founder or as a human being is, how can I help the people in my company? And how can I help our clients to get where they want to go? And going, especially seeing what's going on in Ukraine right now, that touches me. I understand what the rocket is like. It's really taught me the appreciation of life. We all, especially young guys, but and I'm married now. I got 2 kids, so I start thinking about their future. But when you start really thinking about how many summers we have left, you know what I mean? It puts a life in perspective. So I told everyone at work, I go, a year and a half ago, that this company, we're no longer going to be a slave to our company. We're going to come to work, but this company is set to make our lives and everyone else's lives better. And that's what we're going to build. And that's what's happening. And it's really, really, really nice to see.
Yeah, I love your perspective on spreading love. It's a great everything, actually, and that I really love that, to love this person or this group of people. I think when we use that filter, we often find that it simplifies some of the big. I mean, there's always still complexity, but if you can ask yourself and use that, the right thing to do or the best thing to do becomes pretty clear, I think.
Yeah, and it sounds really silly, and I know people are listening to this, and I hope they don't take me as some wacko. I ride dirt bikes for fun. I race a car as a hobby. I'm like I'm normal average guy, but there's been so many different trials and tribulations. We made a lot of money, lost it, and after all is said, I sat back, and my sister-in-law, who I always thought was wacko, she used to walk around, love, 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 And one day I just said, listen, I respect everything else you said, and I applied it, and it was literally instant result and satisfaction. So
that's so good. So in your time building, what have been the, are there any aha moments you can think of so far in the business where you really were going the direction and you had a big breakthrough, or you made a mistake and you learned a lesson? Like, can you think of any aha moments you could share with us?
Yeah. There are too many. We would need a much longer podcast, but there is one that always sticks by, and I'm sure I could mention it now. A long time ago, I landed the Chive account, the chive.com, powerful, big website, especially back when it was coming up. And we got really big in it. And literally, I was on the phone with their production manager working on a deal. And one phone call, one sentence, one size extra small caused the entire account to disappear. And it was literally just me being cocky. When it comes down to it, was just me being really cocky that day. And all I had to do was just say, let me look into it and I'll call you back. And I was like, no, we can't do that. We're going to get this. And I was so cocky. And he gave me a chance. He goes, you sure you're going to say this? I go, yeah. And we lost it. Or there's been, those are the small things. They go and come back. But the hardest, the best thing that's happened to us is when we as a company have gone to our days where, overhead is always there. So you're spending money regardless if you're making it or not. And there's been days where we were negative on money and we didn't know where the money is coming from. And we all kind of sat down, was like, do we continue to go forward? Or do we go our separate ways and go with the many people that are recruiting us to go work for them and not one person bounce? And said, no, we're too close to our end mission to help our communities and to become and help our families and stuff. So no one left. And it's been the most amazing, powerful thing to have literally a team of people that on a monthly basis get hit on to go work for someone else and get offered huge salaries and they still stick behind. And have months where we're not making as much money because we're expanding, overhead and building this division and building that. So it's just wonderful. I can't emphasize how great it is to have people you like working with you. I know you people hear that, but that should be your goal. If you set your goal to work with people you like and make money by doing good things, the universe will give it to you.
And who have been some of the mentors for you, Adam, over your life? Who are some of the people on your leadership and entrepreneurship?
Starting off, my family, my mother's family side, because they're all entrepreneurs. So being in a family where when I came to America, relatively poor. There's a time when many times my mom didn't have a job, paycheck to paycheck, or we had to borrow money to buy food or to pay rent. So my uncles and them had to help me, but at the same time, they were all entrepreneurs. So my philosophy was, if they could do it, why can't I? And I had the privilege to be able to call family members, cousins and uncles and ask them advice. That led me here, or even borrow money from them for a project, borrowed $70,000 to bring in 100,000 panties to make $3,000 profit back in my, early 20s or early 30s. I'm sorry. So that was like, I look back, I'm like, I can't believe $70,000 turned into 73, but you hustle as much as you can, right? Working with big box retail. And then believe it or not, one that's going to sound kind of weird is Gary V, the entrepreneur on Instagram.
What is it that he said that's helped you?
What he said is, I did on a side note, we came out with a brand called Never Forgotten Apparel. And this is something that's dear to me because we're a private manufacturer. We got tired of all the homelessness and what's going on with the firefighters, because we're big with the firefighters and veterans. And we came up with an idea and we did it. We came out with a clothing brand that we'll make 100% in America, and we're going to donate 50% of the proceeds to veterans or firefighters or the community. And everyone told me I'm an idiot and I'm crazy and, you can't do this and you can't go US manufacturing and there was a lot of doubt in LA of what we're doing. And a friend of mine sent me this thing from this guy called Gary V, this crazy guy that screams and curses and is this business guy. And, I'm on my road trip sitting in Seattle on my motorcycle, taking a break. And I just listened to this guy. And he had this list of 10 things a real entrepreneur needs to achieve before they're considered an entrepreneur. And, I went down the list and I checked everything off in my head and, saw more things. And this guy kept saying, if the number one mission is to, have what I have here, which is do what you love. And, F anyone that tells you can't do it. There's a lot of people, family members or people, loved ones that have fear and they bestow that fear upon you. And going out of my way to get rid of all the big brands that were doing production in China that I didn't want to do anymore because I got tired of all the labor issues that we had, and to come back domestic and start all over again. I was told I'm an idiot and I shouldn't be doing this. And Adam, you're married and you have a kid. You can't take these risks. You can't go out and try to help the firefighters and this and this. And that's not how I see it. My best friend's brother is a firefighter and I almost died being a firefighter. So Gary Vee gave me inspiration to continue, even though I've never met him, but one day I know I will. And when I meet him, I'm going to shake his hand. And another person that you're not going to believe that said something to my ex-girlfriend told me this long time ago was Will Smith said something. And yes, I said Will Smith. Okay. There's two things he said. He said our parents taught us the worst thing, which we should always have a plan B. You should never have a plan B because plan A is the most amazing, difficult thing you're going to try to achieve. And if you have a plan B, you'll fall back on it. So we got no plan B. And the next thing he shared a story, which is, and I share this with everybody, and this is a very good story. That I don't know if it's true or not, but I go with it. That his father told him to build, it was walking home and there was a brick wall, and apparently they tore the wall down and he told his brother and Will to build this wall. And they're like, how do we build a wall? He goes, don't look at building a wall. Every day on your way home or to school, lay a couple of bricks down. So that's the best business advice I think I could give anyone, is that when you're trying to achieve and build, when I'm out there saying I'm going to go build the elite fashion group, build a fashion company with shoes and all the stuff we're going to do, and I personally don't know how to sew, we have a team, thank God. Many people told me I'm crazy. But I didn't look at it as building a company like that. I just looked at it as coming to work and putting a brick down, make a t-shirt, then make a jacket and, go from there. And that's kind of how I see it. And the other inspiration is our American heroes. All the soldiers that we have fighting for us to keeping us free. I appreciate that more than anything else. It is a gift to wake up and not worry about getting bombed.
Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yeah, it is. Oh, your story's just
No, I appreciate it. It's just the truth.
Let's jump into Leadership Express. I've got a few questions for you. Are you ready?
Of course.
Okay, the first question is, what's a book that you've gifted to other people or you've recommended it to other people?
A book has to... There's one that I got one that got recommended. It's called 369 is the Law of the Universe. That's one that I'm getting into. It's basically about, how manifestation is real. And the other book, Poor Man, Rich Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Man.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's a given for everybody else.
Yes, wonderful book. What about a recent
podcast, man? Podcasts have been one of the most informative things in my life, if more than books, I could say.
What podcasts do you listen to? Do you have any favorites?
I listen to yours. I'm very bad with name, but the one where you had the founder of Apple, one of the guys from Apple on there. That was really cool for me.
Guy Kawasaki.
I forgot his name. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, one of my friends listens to it and then handed it off to me and goes, I just didn't like it because this whole thing about the Porsche. And I was like, and I had a different perspective of it. So I liked that. And then the proverbial Joe Rogan, man, who doesn't listen to the good old Joe?
Yeah, that's right.
And then with the Joe Rogan podcast, I don't listen to the comedian ones as much, but I listen when he's got professors or, that's a good thing because just like yourselves, we have access to people that I would never get a chance to talk to, or, how often do I get to listen to one of the founders of Apple talk to somebody, it's just powerful, man. It's powerful.
Absolutely. Love it. Great recommendations. And thank you for being a listener to this podcast as well, Adam. Let me think, do you have what's a great piece of advice you've received in your life or about leadership? At some point, someone gave you some advice, Adam, and it stuck with you.
One of the best things is, once again, plan A. If you really, really believe, plan A is like, if that's going to be and is a real dream of yours, that's number one. Number two, and you heard this before, Keep your dreams to yourself. Do not tell everybody. Don't share it with everyone. Share it with people that truly support you and understand you. But when you're working on something so big that if you tell people they're going to try to walk you off of it, don't listen to those people. If you believe, basically in our company, we actually have a policy called funny belly feeling. And if you have a funny belly feeling about a client that's going to be a bad client, we don't take it because that's a funny belly feeling. But also in life, if you got a gut feeling about it, listen to your gut and go with it. Good or bad in business. If you feel that you should quit your job and this is what you want to do, go for it. I mean, go for it, especially the younger people. If you're not married, you don't have kids, listen, worst case scenario, you fail. That's the worst case scenario. Go sleep on your buddy's couch. Just go with it. I've gotten down to literally having no money in my account. My old partner stole all my money. They didn't have money to pay rent, went to Taco Bell and had them take my ATM card. And I prayed that the few tacos would go through because we had no money, right? And that being said, I got offered $100,000 a year salary job, which was amazing, life-saving. And I said no at the end of it. I said no, and it was one of the hardest things and the best decisions I ever made. So, not everyone's made to be an entrepreneur, but if you're feeling it from the bottom of your heart, there is nothing greater than being your own boss. Nothing scarier too.
Okay, well, last question. This is fun getting to know some of your story and chatting with you about leadership, Adam. If you could only give one piece of leadership advice to a young leader, what would you say?
One advice to a young leader. Love. Whenever you're in a situation where it could be interpreted, this way or that way, always try to go with the positive. It will get you out of a lot of trouble. A lot of people make things up in their heads. So communication, love and communication will get you out of a lot of trouble and make you a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a great thought. Thank you for sharing that. Well, for people who've really your thoughts on leadership, where can they find and also find your company online?
It's an amazing thing. Our website is theelitefashiongroup.com. So we're in LA, THE, Elite Fashion Group. Our cause that we're helping is Never Forgotten Apparel. And I've been given the privilege to be able to announce this for the first time since we've been working on this project for 1 year. We're actually starting a fashion mentorship academy where we're going to teach all sorts, youth, older people, younger, anyone that wants to get into our business. They don't have to go to the proverbial 2-year and 4-year fashion colleges and come out with $100,000 or $60,000, $70,000, $100,000, $120,000 student debt. In our world, we tend not to hire people right out of school where we have to untrain them. So we're going to be giving an academy and teaching fashion and business and common sense to our business as well. So that's coming, and go to our website and it'll be more on there. And if anyone needs any mentorship or any question, feel free to reach out. I love helping anyone. If you're a startup, you've been in the business for 20 years or anything in between, it's our job to give back. We really mean it.
Love that, Adam. So to our listeners for tuning in today, conversation with Adam to hear some of Adam's story, incredible story in Iran and just wonderful. I loved hearing Adam's perspective on the US as well. That was great. I also have the Jonno White Leadership Podcast where you can also go to invest in your leadership. But I want to finish today by saying a massive thank you to you, Adam, for coming on the podcast, for telling some of your story. Like you said, about power of love, which more accepted as part of leadership. That should be. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
It should be, yeah. Man, thank you very much. And thank you for, getting people like us on a podcast and spreading the word to help everybody else. You're doing God's work.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Leadership Conversations podcast as much as I did. If you're joining us for the first time, don't forget to check out consultclarity.org. That's our website, consultclarity.org. We have so many free resources on there, including our 7 Questions on Leadership series. We've had more than 1,500 leaders from all over the world in all different roles, in different industries, answer these 7 questions on leadership, and leaders give these in-depth answers around how they spend their time, a book that's been significant for them. It's just a gold mine. It's completely free to access, so go to consultclarity.org and look for that. We'd also love to interview you about your leadership. I believe your experience, your life, your context means that you have advice on leadership that other leaders can learn from. Yes, you, if you're going, not me, well, no, I really believe you would have something to add. So if you're looking for a way to give back, it's completely free to get involved. And we would love to interview you through the 7 Questions on Leadership. You just go to consultclarity.org/7-questions-interest, or Google consultclarity.org 7 questions interest and fill out the form and get involved. We have a free resource on our website called the Leadership Survival Guide. It's a 57-page ebook, 10 world-class leaders giving their thoughts on leadership, and that's completely free. It's available on our homepage, consultclarity.org, right at the top, so make sure you go and get that and download it today. And we have a free daily email that you can subscribe to. We send this out to over 15,000 leaders from around the world. And it contains the highlights of content from our podcasts, our blogs, our books we're reading. It's got the best content, and it gives you exclusive, limited, early access to our masterclasses, workshops, new products, special offers. It's all for our subscribers. You can go to consultclarity.org/subscribe and join 15,000 other leaders. And you know, my gift to you is to work really hard, particularly through the Leadership Conversations podcast. I have been blown away by the quality of the leaders, and I'm learning as much as anyone in doing these interviews. So I'm having a great time. And my gift to you is to keep lining up the best leaders I can to invest in your leadership. Your gift to me, if you're finding this helpful, there is something that you could do that would help us out massively. And that is to write a review and to leave a rating for our podcast or wherever you're watching or listening to this. I can't tell you how much that helps us out. Also, subscribe or follow. It really does make a difference in helping us to help more leaders become everything they're meant to be. Another thing that means a lot to me personally is when I see our community share our content. So if you do share this or any other piece of content on social media, then thank you, and please do that. And look for me, Jonno White, or Clarity, and tag us in your post. Our team is always looking for posts to engage with from our community, and there's also a chance that we'll share your content to go beyond and share it with our followers. Last of all, you can check out my book. It's called Step Up or Step Out: How to Deal with Difficult People Even If You Hate Conflict. I wrote this book because 50% of the coaching sessions I have with leaders, this topic comes up again and again and again. And it's this idea of, how do I have this difficult conversation? How do I lead this person better when I'm finding them difficult? Or in some cases, you look and you say, I think I might be leading a difficult person. They're just quite difficult to lead, or I'm finding them quite difficult to lead. So there's a 3-step process that I unpack in Step Up or Step Out. And the amazing thing, and I've literally done this myself, and I've heard it anecdotally from other leaders as I've coached them, is that if you follow this process, you will see that person step up and change their behavior or make a decision, which is to step out some of the time. 95% of the time, people will step up or step out in just 4 weeks. And I stand by that. It's you have to read the book to understand, but I really do believe in it, and I've experienced it firsthand. It works. So you can go to Amazon, look up Step Up or Step Out Jonno White, or store.consultclarity.org/book. Well, thank you so much for listening. We're going to be back with a new episode next time of the Leadership Conversations podcast. And I hope today has helped you to take another step towards becoming the leader you're meant to be. See you next time.